I want to help you avoid these 4 common wiring mistakes I see homeowners make when they try to replace or install a new location for a residential grade outlet. First up, let's just get acquainted with the outlet itself. On the gold screw terminals, this is going to be our hot side of our outlet. You can also see that is going to be your small slot here. That is always going to relate to the hot side. You can expect to see red or more commonly black to indicate your hot wire or hot conductor, which should be within your electrical box. Now, in some cases, you might actually see both going in, red going to one and black going to the other. In those cases, you're probably dealing with a switched outlet, and you should also see this tab removed from the gold side, which will separate out these individual screw terminals and separate the function of the top and bottom outlet, so you could switch one of the outlets and, let's say, turn on a lamp in a living space. Now on the other side, you're going to see a silver screw terminal, 2 of those, and that's going to be associated to your white conductor, which is your neutral conductor. On the same side as your neutral, you usually see your green ground conductor. In the United States and Canada, you're usually going to see a bare copper wire, and that is going to be your ground wire. Now, when it comes to what tool to use with these screw terminals, most people are going to grab a Phillips head screwdriver, but that is incorrect. This is going to be prone to strip out or cam out that terminal and will not allow you to get the torque that you should be when tightening down your conductors. What I prefer is either a number 1 square drive or Robertson. That is going to give you a better contact area and allow you to drive more torque without camming out or stripping out that screw. Even better, what I've been using for the last few years is this Milwaukee ECX number 1 combination bit, which gives you that square drive in the middle with a flat head as well, kind of giving you the best of all worlds, where you do not slip off the screw terminal when torquing it down, and you have all that surface area to apply torque while tightening down your conductors. Now, jumping in the 4 common mistakes, let's go ahead and focus in on the first one here, and that is on residential grade outlets. When you use the strip gauge here, that strip gauge is actually meant for a feature called speed wire. Speed wire is only available for 14 gauge, so it would be on your 15 amp circuits. It would not be for your larger 12 gauge, which would be for your 20 amp circuits, so it already limits you in some of your circuits in your home. And speed wire is simply around, I believe it was pushed in the industry as a labor saver, which it is, because the way you actually install this is just placing that in the back and pushing it in, and now you have your hot conductor wired into your outlet. We still have the tab here, so we're good to go from a hot conductor side. And it actually is independent of screw terminals. This is securely held in right now. Now, you can usually remove that by wiggling it back and forth, and then it does actually come out because there's just a small lever in there, and you can see the grooves that cut on that wire as I wiggled it back and forth. Why I say that's a mistake, it's a very common point of failure, and as we are doing things DIY, we have a little more time to do them right or to do them a better way. So I do not recommend doing any speed wiring on the outlets in your home. So moving on to mistake number 2, first let's go ahead and make a J-hook, and I'll just give you a reference here. I strip off 3/4 of an inch of insulation, and then I use my wire strippers. These are Knipex hybrid wire strippers. Pretty much every wire stripper out there is going to have a method for making a J-hook. Knipex has it right on the point here. Some strippers you're going to see that actually on the bolt cutters, but every stripper will pretty much have a location to help you make a J-hook. So number 2 comes in when you place your J-hook on your terminal, but you actually place it where the rotation of that wire is in the counterclockwise direction. And why this is the second mistake is because as you tighten this in, as you tighten down that terminal and it pushes on the wire, it'd want to push out on the wire and not pull that wire into the screw terminal. So this is not a best practice because it's more likely that as you tighten down the screw terminal, that is going to weaken the overall contact area with the copper and the screw terminal. So counterclockwise direction is not correct, and that is your second mistake that homeowners make when wiring up the screw terminals. So now for mistake number 3, we have our J-hook again. Now we corrected it and we're gonna go in the clockwise direction, but here we've actually stripped too much copper. We have copper that's gonna be hanging out past the housing here. So if I have a ground floating around in my box, there's a chance that that ground makes contact here and creates a short and trips my breaker with that exposed copper, especially on the hot conductor side. So mistake number 3 is stripping too much wire. And as you saw before, once you start getting past the 3/4 of an inch, 7/8 of an inch, and especially up to an inch of stripped copper, you're gonna have a little bit of exposed copper, which you do not want. And it is a mistake that you wanna try to avoid. Conversely, mistake number 4, we have our J-hook. We're going in the clockwise direction. Everything is good, but actually, we have stripped too little, and now we have our insulation underneath our screw terminal. So as you tighten down that screw terminal, part of the contact surface is gonna be with the insulation, and that is not what we want. We would want copper all the way around that screw terminal making contact, giving us the most contact area and a nice surface to torque down the screw terminal and make for a secure connection. So avoiding all those mistakes, this is what it would look like with having a single set of conductors, both our hot and our neutral coming in with our ground. This is what you would be looking at for your wiring. Another tip, we'd want to go ahead and tighten up any unused terminals, so we slim up the envelope as much as possible, especially in metal boxes where you don't have screw terminals hanging out, which might make contact with that metal box, or again just contact with maybe a bare copper that is floating around in your box. So go ahead and tighten those down. That is also best practice. Hopefully that helped you out. Let me know if you guys have any additional questions or want to see other topics down in the comments below the video. I want to kind of go back to some basics when it comes to DIY electrical, making sure we're not leaving anybody behind. And if you're just looking to do a light fixture, swap out a few outlets, or do some smart devices, that you have the foundation to do those safely around your house and take those projects on yourself to save time and money. Now I want to point you in a few different directions depending on what projects you have ahead. If you have an older home and you only have a hot and neutral conductor, you don't even have a ground, check out this video right here where we'll introduce you to GFC outlets, which come in pretty darn handy. Now, if you have some upgrades coming up where you're going to swap out all your outlets, you should consider residential versus commercial grade. Check out this video right here. I'll show you the internals and show you why I went commercial grade many years ago. And then finally, wire connectors. I prefer Wago 221 lever nuts. Check out this video right here and it'll give you more information on why I went with the Wagos. Thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll catch you on one of those next videos. Take care.